Welcome to the first Virtual Partnership Winter Institute. My name is Dianza Smith-Rodriguez. I am the proud middle school literacy coordinator for the partnership, and it is my honor to kick us off this morning. Before we begin, a few logistical items. Be sure that you can first Virtual Partnership Winter your ILT Google Classroom. If you can't, we have some tech support members of our partnership team, so just shoot them a chat and they can get you into your Google Classroom. Also, make sure that you access your school sign-in. There's been some question in the chat of how we sign in. That is also found in your ILT Google Classroom. That's where your sign-in sheet lives for the day. And a last housekeeping item, if you could change your profile screen name to include your school at the front of your name, that would be great in helping us to navigate any ILT breakout spaces. Again, if you need some support with that, feel free to reach out to our tech team. All right, so I have the honor and the privilege of introducing in a moment our fearless leader of our money team, Artie, who is going to introduce some new team members that we want to honor in this space. So to do this, without further ado, I'm going to kick it off to Artie. Oh my God. Are we good with that, Jeff? Should I do the robot for a few minutes?
Little tech snafu. Give me 1 second here. Maybe you can juggle. Happy New Year, folks.
Well, again, we are in this virtual space and it's so great to see you. We hope that you had a restful and a safe winter break, not only for yourself and your families. I do see Artie in the space. Artie, are we good? You know. Good to go, Artie? All right, here we go.
Good morning to the finest group of educators in the country. Thank God we're past calendar year 2020. This year so far is mixed results. But get ready for Winter Institute 2021! Join me in welcoming with whatever your spirit emoji is, Assistant Principal at Carver Middle School, Juanita Gonzalez! Also new to the network, Assistant Principal at Ritter Elementary, Allison Curry. Lakers. Assistant Principal at 49th Street Elementary, Janice Oazy. And lastly, Assistant Principal at Stevenson CCP, Joe Ojeda. So let's get on with it. Remember to give tech support some grace. Distance does not separate our love. Let's start Winter Institute 2021.
I'm gonna make oatmeal. Moment. Jeffrey, we need to move to the slide.
Yes, can you not see them?
I am seeing the slide, but for the partnership,
My apologies, I'm sorry. Let me stop the share and we'll redo it here.
Welcome
sorry,
to 2020.
Always an adventure with Zoom.
Side door.
Okay, can you see that now?
I am seeing that you're just sharing the screen. I'm not seeing the actual slide deck.
Okay. Can you see it at this point, Deonza?
I cannot.
Then, Ian, are you on?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, can you take over the share? I think I'm having a technical problem.
Yeah, sure.
We're at our norm slide, Ian.
I don't have sharing ability, Jeffrey.
It's like the perfect skit for.
I'm sorry.
Look at all these rusty tech skills from a few weeks off of school.
Okay, try now, Ian.
And yes, I was still an arty slick back do as well.
There we go.
Great. We're just a few up to the norms.
Well, there's everybody's picture from Artie's great welcome.
Welcome. Let's welcome our new administrators. Woo!
Yes, for all of our new administrators.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful pics.
So I get a few minutes to talk with each of you briefly before we get going for the day. So good to see all your faces. Many of you look quite rested. So thanks for being here today. I know it's tough to come back early from break. I know we've just concluded what seems to be a year stuffed with the most complicated emotional days of our lifetime, punctuated with experiences that run through all the emotional extremes. But many of you might agree that yesterday might take the cake for emotions that we experienced in a single day. We woke up seeing the fruits of Stacey Abrams and, excuse me one second. I'm having tech issues myself now.
I stayed on because I want to show you another picture that I drew.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's from Among Us 2. Bye.
Sorry, everyone. We'll get it right.
Ian, I just sent you a text that may be helpful.
Yeah, okay, I got it. So we woke up seeing the fruits of Stacey Abrams and other groups like Black Voters Matter, Con Mi Gente, and countless others flipping a seat that many thought were intractable, 2 seats in fact. And we went to sleep with the images of complicity in allowing the most egregious actions of white supremacy we may ever see occur in our lifetime at and within what is supposed to be one of the most secure places on earth. Senator-elect Reverend Raphael Warnock yesterday said, the other day, because this is America, the 82-year-old hands that used to pick somebody else's cotton went to the polls and picked her youngest son to be the United States Senator. Can we celebrate the fact that Georgia just elected their first Black Democratic senator from the Deep South and the first Jewish senator, youngest senator since Joe Biden was elected to Congress? If you want to show your excitement, feel free to come off of mute for a second.
Yeah.
All right, yay!
As many of you know, I was born blocks from the US Capitol. And before moving here to start a school in 2003, I lived just 7 blocks from the Capitol. I walked, biked, and drove by it at least twice a day. And every day I marveled at its beauty, history, and security. After September 11th, the security visibly quadrupled, if not more. Let's be real, the US Capitol has always stood for freedom as an ideal though, because it's always mostly stood for oppression and racism. Yesterday, we were able to experience both in a single 24 hours. We excitedly felt an example of democracy finally working, signaling what is possible for a more equitable governing body coming into power, and then quickly watched many horrific visual reminders of the level of racism and white supremacy still overtly present in our country go unaddressed by hundreds of law enforcement officials who are likely the same people that punished and abused peaceful protesters just months before. Racism and white supremacy in all its forms, in all their forms, have no place in our country, state, the great city of LA, in LAUSD, in the partnership in our schools, in my heart, not in yours. And yesterday we were all reminded of how far we have to go as a nation. But we also got to see for the second time in 2 months, democracy sputtering towards some progress. I like to think of the US Capitol and the surrounding blocks with these images: a symbol and home to activism, organizing, hearing the oppressed, progress, hope, possibility, change, us all being collectively better. Like is our mission, a symbol of these things, bonding us all together to achieve a real meritocracy. What's possible when we unite to challenge hegemony, racism, white supremacy in all its forms is baked into this mission. What we saw yesterday was overt racism and white supremacy. What we deal with daily as educational leaders in LA is often not that form, although it does exist. The kind we are confronted with daily is often harder to spot and may even be the harder to change kind of racism and white supremacy, and nonetheless destructive. It's hegemony, doing things the way we've always done things before, when they may actually be bad for kids. Programming, grades, discipline, our language we use, enrichment offerings, content we teach, intervention systems, special education, parent engagement, hiring, it's everywhere. We have the power with all our collective wisdom, learning, and hard-fought talent to spot it, describe it, and dismantle it. Before yesterday, the plan was to start today celebrating all that we've achieved together since the summer, share the wisdom that we've gained, and to launch intentionally into the new school year and semester with some strong reflections and planning so that we can inspire our teams next week. However, with this mission, there's pretty much no way to not stop and talk about what happened yesterday in history. What we just experienced and may be weighing on all of our minds quite heavily and could be in the way of feeling the ability to sort of stop and celebrate and reflect on all the great things that have happened. But we still need to. So I want to make sure that everybody takes the time that they need for themselves today. If you need anything, give it to yourself. Your teammates are here for you. I'm here for you. The rest of the partnership team is here for you. You deserve whatever it is you need. Give it to yourself. As much as our students deserve the best of us in working towards being anti-racist and being the best equity champions we can be. So this summer we started with this theme. I want to give you just 15 seconds to read over it. This essential question should be buzzing in the back of our mind as a bit of a mantra ongoing. We also shifted this summer from the previous summer where we talked about equity lenses to an anti-racist mirror. We framed it with 4 key questions to start with on our paths towards being anti-racist and systems leaders that are focused on anti-racism. Anti-racism is not a destination any of us will likely ever arrive at, let alone will our schools. It's a way of being we have to strive towards, however. And these 4 questions are just a starting place for our ILTs and each of us individually. You can reflect on them personally as an ILT, as a smaller teacher team in your school, but just continue to use them with the mentality of this is a mirror. It's work we have to sort of ask ourselves, what's going on and what can we do about where racism shows up within our schools? We also talked about a little bit of a get going guide on how to use the equity lenses and mirrors together. We gave you these 5 steps. I'll give you a second to read through because it's, as said, it's not a destination. It's more of a process we have to take ourselves through. I think what also bonds us besides our mission together is that we are the people who lead our schools, our systems. And that's what number 4 really is about. We have to relentlessly and apologetically break through the systems that are just not working for our kids or cause issues for our kids. And I think we're the ones that can do that. And this is our roadmap to keep pushing. Great thing is we have lots of cool stuff to celebrate today and reflect on that I think schools have done an excellent job with around number 4 and number 5 this year. So I want to end with a book that many of us in the partnership have been reading, and I've been reading over break, called Me and White Supremacy by Layla Saeed. Essentially, what she is writing is through the advice to an individual seeking to address their own racism and white supremacy, seeking to be a good ancestor. I found the 3 tips for getting going on a self-guided tour that she suggests here. I think they also apply to ILTs and organizations working on an anti-racist journey too. As you'll see, she suggests in this order, when getting at this work, to focus on truth, love, and commitment. So I want to end this brief kickoff with suggesting we think about these 3 things before we get into some logistics and celebrations and reflections. Thanks for being here today, for bringing your truth, for bringing your love and your commitment, both to our young scholars and families, but also to each other.
Thank you, Ian. And in the spirit of truth, love, and commitment, we just wanted to not segue quickly into the various norms, but still hold the space with which Ian kicked us off to think about what it means for our work individually and collectively. And so in the spirit of the Zoom meeting norms, join the community. We invite you to engage with your video on. That's a way we want to build community. One mic, and share the airspace, obviously, because we want to uplift all voices. Love the positivity and community building that's already taking place in the chat, so keep that up. And then, of course, we are doing this work in service of our students, so our focus and engagement is important, and honoring ourselves and whatever we need to do to be able to fully show up in this space. So if there's personal needs to take care of, by all means do so that we all show up as our best selves. To stay connected, we invite you through whatever preferred social media platform to share your experiences about Winter Institute with the hashtags that you see on the screen there. Uplifting really and showcasing the genius that is taking place in your school site, what's taking place in the network, and really showing that despite being in a sometimes ugly world, we are doing very beautiful things as educators. Thanks, Joy, for throwing that in the chat. And here are your facilitators today. It's myself, again, Dianza, the middle school literacy coordinator. I'm gonna kick it off in a minute. You've heard from Ian Guidera, Dr. Guidera, our Chief Academic Officer behind the scenes and very much part of this work today. We have Jeffrey and our Senior Director of Leadership Development. You will also hear today from Michelle Perkins, my colleague at the high school level. So with that said, we're gonna kick it over to Dr. Escobar and Ms. DuBose.
Thanks, Dianza. And hey, Wendalee, how are you this morning?
Unmute myself. I am good, girl. How are you?
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. There's a lot going on in the world. I mean, 2020 has been absolutely bonkers. And I'm glad we're in a new year, although as already said, it's, mixed reviews so far. But we had to kick off this year with impeaching the person in the White House. That was a lot.
That seemed like forever ago. That seems like it was decades ago, but I can't believe it just happened last year.
Absolutely.
And then we also, last year, 2020 was also the year of that global pandemic that we're still in, right? Everything shut down. The world flipped from normalcy to staying indoors all day. We lost countless lives and we still had to get through day by day in this new reality.
Absolutely. And in addition to there being a global pandemic, we were putting our own lives at risk to stand up for those whose lives were unjustly taken at the hands of police, gathering in the streets to speak up and remind everyone that Black lives do matter, that was a lot, and we're still doing it today.
Yes, yes. Not only were we in the streets, but we were also having some conversations in our homes, right? Talking about racism and social injustice with our own family members, something that was probably new to a lot of us.
Yeah.
Another thing that was really new to a lot of us is this whole distance learning thing, right? I mean, I like to hear myself talk, but talking to a screen of just empty squares like that was something new. And then I had to turn my living room into a distance learning area, like a lot of us had to do. Our dining room tables became office settings, like open cubicles. We became obsessed with washing our hands, sanitizing our desks, wearing masks. That was crazy.
So like, I'm sick. I love home, but I'm sick of this room, right? And all of that is incredibly exhausting, right? Teaching and learning and working in schools is exhausting enough, but doing it from our homes during a pandemic, there's nothing like teacher tired. It's not sustainable.
Yes, absolutely. That not only that deep physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion, but just this feeling like things are coming at you from all ends, right? Like you are in the middle of a rock and a hard place constantly, having to choose between focusing on a Zoom and focusing on your kids and making sure that there's food and making sure that there's just so much going on every minute in our minds. 2020 was tough.
Dumpster fire of a year.
Dumpster fire.
Hey, Genevieve, Wendeley, I've been overhearing your conversation and I completely agree. It has been a year. But I have never been more prouder to work with the Partnership Network during this crazy time. In the midst of a global pandemic and social unrest, every single person at the partnership rose to the occasion. Overnight, teachers turned their dining rooms into teaching command centers. Teachers dressed as Christmas trees to bring a little joy to their students' lives. And don't get me started on our new coworkers who are cute, but don't understand personal boundaries. Teachers learn to navigate Zoom, Schoology, and all these different platforms overnight and manage the glitches with grace and patience. Everyone rose to the occasion. But in all seriousness, everyone at the Partnership Network has done so much. Let's take a look at some of the we're going to take a look at some of the few of the many, many things that schools have been doing. At our elementary schools, FIG created weekly assemblies where almost all of the parents attended weekly. Let's talk about parent engagement. Joiner launched structured peer observations because they wanted to hold teacher practice at the front of their learning this year so that they could offer students high quality distance education. Ritter held monthly book distribution days, and if you're like me, you know that you love a hard copy of a text to just dive into. GRAPE really dug into their student engagement and monitoring systems so that they could improve their attendance. 90 Night continued to focus on increasing literacy outcomes, rotating observation cycles. Amazing. And I know we didn't cover every elementary school, so again, it's just a snapshot in time of how some of our schools are rising to the occasion. Our middle schools also had amazing things. Carver really focused on supporting their Black families by having a comprehensive system to engage those families. And they saw the results with 85% attendance with their Black families. It's amazing, like what we can do when we focus our attention. Hollenbeck, despite the difficulties of distance learning, continued to uphold their long-held traditions to create a sense of continuity for their students. And Stevenson really focused on SEL and some incentives. And I heard about these incentives that included some Zoom dance parties, and I wish I could be a fly on the wall for those. They sound amazing. And then we can't ignore our high schools. Take a moment, look at this graph. Just look at it. Do you see it? Yeah, that's right. Every single high school in our partnership network increased their graduation rates in the midst of a pandemic. Every single one. MSTMA had 100% graduation in the midst of a pandemic. But that's not all. The partnership network is not only crushing graduation, they are outperforming both LAUSD and state graduation rates. Take a moment, high school teachers, our high schools, take a moment to pat yourself on the back, because you are changing lives for students in your classes. We are getting them to college by continually increasing graduation rates. But I don't want just our high school teams to pat themselves on the back. I want everyone in this space, because we know that this is the result of years of hard work, dedication at every level. This is true collective action. So this year was a ton of challenges, but you're rising to the occasion and you're crushing it. So what we touched on today was just the smallest fraction of the genius that has occurred at your school sites this year. Next slide. So please, throughout the day, continue to share those examples of systems and practices that happened at your school site, where students, the Padlet that was shared at the beginning of the day, please continue to add to that throughout the day. You don't have to jump into it today, but we want to continue to capture those celebrations and all of the wonderful things that are occurring at your school sites. So here at the partnership, we appreciate you. We sit in awe of you, every single one of you, but there are a lot of other people who appreciate you as well. So please get cozy, freshen up your cup of coffee, because we have a video of many of your colleagues sharing some appreciations for you. And it's, hopefully we don't have any glitches. It's about 15 minutes long. So again, like I said, get cozy. People love you.
Sorry, Jeffrey, I'm getting error 5.
Okay. Let's.
Jeff, I have it ready to go if you want me to share my screen.
Yes, please. Thank you, Alfonso.
There you go, Alfonso.
Yep.
You're just lucky it's not error 6.
Here we go.
Alfonso, oh, here we go. Okay. I think you need to add the sound, Alfonso. Need to reshare with the sound.
So just thank you for being authentic, because I think that's something that we're losing in the world, period.
Kate, department chair, team lead from Jordan High School, we appreciate you. Take it away, Gabby.
C is for the constant communication that you have amongst the team.
A is for your authenticity, always showing up as your true self.
I is for integrity, and that's one of the things I love about you most, Kate. And if you could bottle that up, that is the vaccine that the world needs.
T is for the fantastic team building you've been doing this year. Being new, I feel really welcome and really part of a great group already, and I appreciate your leadership on that.
Well, I really appreciate my colleagues in the 9th grade ELA PLC at Santee. I also want to give a big shout out to Ms. Acosta, our fearless leader for the English department. I think she takes things off of our plates that we don't even know exist. And during this time that's so difficult for so many of us, just makes it seem seamless and beautiful and easy, and makes us seem like we're still there, surrounded by each other, and full of love and light. It's just great. I appreciate that. Also want to send a big shout out to Mr. Henry, who's such a great advocate for the English department, and that means a lot to have an administrator who's got your back.
I want to thank our leaders for pushing and striving for equity among our students, especially within our iconic community of Boyle Heights. I think that's just so important to continue that legend.
And I just wanted to say thank you to Jamie and Mr. Salcedo for always having a positive attitude, really no matter what. Smiling and being positive, helping us when we come with our millions of questions and confusions.
I'm grateful for my teachers because whenever I enter a class, they always tell me that they want me to pass and that they'll give me a chance to pass. I just have to do work and commit. I'm grateful that they give me an opportunity to better myself. Even though my camera's off, I'm still learning and I'm still working hard on my classes.
They've been patient with us, they've been giving us the work and they've been giving us extensions on due dates, and they've just been there to help us with whatever we need. My favorite class is physics because my teacher makes it fun, actually fun. I think that fun is important, especially in this time of period of time that we are in right now. I think it's important because students are stressed out all the time with work, being at home all the time. So I think it's important to just have a little bit of fun during school hours.
I think it's really important because then you'll look forward to attending those classes during the day. You'll look forward to see what's new about the class, what other project or assignment you'll be able to do.
Hey everybody, I'm Ryan Mars, physics teacher at the amazing Jordan High School. Now, it's been a pretty crazy semester, but we made it. Here at Jordan, well, at my apartment, we've seen a lot of things. We've seen puppets, gnomes, balloons, badminton rackets, slide whistles, cassette recorders, ropes, lots of tape, pumpkins stuck to the ceiling, more gnomes, more puppets, dancing, laughing, crying, and so much more. I can only imagine all the stuff you've seen. But there's one thing that's always been in all our classrooms, real or virtual: smiling. You're awesome, you're awesome. It's winter break at last. And after all the work you did, it's time that you relax. You're awesome, and we both know it's true. That's why I wrote this awesome song for the very awesome you. Stay awesome, everybody.
It's important to have fun because right now we're in a pandemic and there's a lot of, you can say, darkness and negative energy. And it's just you're sad because of everything that's going on. And when you enter school, you're supposed to feel safe and you have to be there. And having classes that are actually fun and entertaining, engaging, make you forget about this situation that we're in, and it just, makes you happier.
Yeah, I also agree with Emily that there's a lot of dark times right now, with the pandemic and everything else going on outside. And classes should be fun, so to bring the mood up.
I appreciate all the teachers I've had at Mendes because whenever you need help, they basically go out of their way to help you. Like, no matter what, they always find the time.
I appreciate the Mendes staff for being so understanding that sometimes it's hard to learn when we're at home.
Hey Markham teachers, I just wanted to say a big thank you to all of you for the amount of support you guys have been showing us this past fall semester. You guys have been keeping in touch with us, communicating, and making sure we're just okay in general. So I'm super thankful for that, and I want to say thank you.
Hey Markham teachers, I'm here to say thank you for everything that you've done for me, and I want to say that my experience with you has been something I will never forget. For example, when Miss Ayala, my teacher, sent me stuffed animals from my favorite show, it made me so happy.
Hey Markham teachers, I just want to say a big thank you for being our teachers and for giving us the education, and I want to thank Miss Knoblager for sending me a gift card.
Hey Markham teachers, my name is Miera, and I want to thank Mr. Kim, the principal, for allowing us to still learn while the whole pandemic is going on, keeping us safe as well.
Thank you, Markham staff.
What do you love about your teacher?
She makes class more fun. We do a bunch of math, and I love the math. When we learn, she makes math a little more funnier. We love you.
I am really grateful that we have Ms. Romo as our team lead. You know, this year, last year as well, it's been difficult for everybody. Learning new things as a teacher, a veteran teacher, for me, it's really frustrating when I'm constantly hitting obstacles because I don't understand things. The one thing one of the many things I can say about Ms. Romo is she is always up for the challenge.
What I like about me and Ms. Ubaya's class is that she teaches us a lot and we have a bunch of fun. I love being in Ms. Ubaya's class because she's the best teacher in the whole life world. We love our school.
I want to take this opportunity to thank the leadership team and staff at Dolores Huerta for being available at school during this pandemic. Ms. Chavez, you have been there to test our scholars one-on-one. You have prepared and distributed materials to our little ones. I am very grateful for you and all the leadership team for all that you have done. Knowing that our scholars have all their materials for learning makes it easier for all of us to accomplish distance learning.
I wanted to shout out MSTMA, my ILT staff, my anti-racist work group. I appreciate everything you've done for me this year. You have definitely demonstrated resilience and you've empowered me to be a better educator, so thank you.
I just wanted to appreciate Ms. Serta at Jordan High School for her dedication to students. I personally know a student that she took the time to talk to and encouraged to stay enrolled at Jordan High School during his senior year. Just want to say that you really make a difference, and I appreciate you and all the time that you take for us and our students.
What I appreciate most about the leadership team at Sunrise Elementary is that they work hard to build community and create beautiful experiences for all of our students and families. As a teacher working there, I feel valued, I feel trusted, and most importantly, I feel very supported. So for that, I want to say thank you.
Hi, Ms. Rosas and Ms. Eiji. Thank you for everything. Especially, I really appreciate that you hold fun and exciting morning assembly every Monday morning. It really helps us remember that we are a community, even though we are physically away from one another.
I love 49th Street Elementary School because it is a really nice school and it is in a really nice neighborhood.
49th Street is an amazing school. They have great personalities and amazing teachers. Ms. Rosas is a great and loving person and a great principal.
I am extremely grateful to the entire admin team at 107th Street, especially Ms. Williams, who always swoops in and rescues me when I feel extremely overwhelmed and I don't know what to do.
We're on Zoom and still learning at the same time. I like Ms. Corrigan as a teacher. I like her because she's fun and entertaining.
I still like about school that you can still do a lot of fun things, and then you can see everybody. That's where you learn educations and stuff.
Hey educators, I want to say greetings to you. And I know that this has been a difficult year, a tough year for us all. And I want to remind you, I want to remind myself to stay lifted. You know, we need each other more than ever. And how can we come together and just encourage each other and lift each other and ground each other in this work? I want to also encourage you to stay excellent. Even though we are virtual learning now, we can still be excellent in everything that we do, and at the same time have some grace and mercy with yourself. We cannot control all the uncertainty and all the things that are happening, so give yourself grace and mercy. Make moments for joy and to smile and be with your village and your loved ones. And most importantly, take care of your health, because we have to keep ourselves strong and healthy, and our health comes first. Educators are so special. We give so much of ourselves, and so we can't pour from an empty cup, and it's important to take care of who we are.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, everyone. And we need to give a very special shout out to one member of the Jordan High School team, Mr. Scott Whitney, who was the producer, editor, genius behind helping us actually assemble that into a lovely film. And we're not done yet. There's a second portion of it that when we reconvene this afternoon, that we will watch together, as well as kind of a nice send off into the second half of the school year. So shout out to Mr. Whitney from Jordan High for making that happen. And Alfonso, if we can go to the next slide, please. Could we go one slide ahead, Alfonso? All right, thank you so much. So, at the partnership, we love to celebrate data, and in a year and in a semester where there are so many strange and unusual data points, we wanted to call out a few things to really celebrate collectively the entire network. And one of the most important of those is the awesome, amazing work that was done this fall simply to help us provide access to education for all students. At the beginning of the year, we had almost 8,000 students across our network where we didn't know what the status was of whether they had a device, a Chromebook or a laptop or an iPad to access school. And we didn't know if they had Wi-Fi or a hotspot or internet connectivity at home. And thanks to tens of thousands of phone calls and outreach being made by folks at school sites, by an army of partnership volunteers, we got that number down to under 300 students. Which means we have accounted for over 98% of the network. And that work, of course, still continues, but this is the kind of stuff that doesn't get the headlines in the newspaper, but certainly want to shout out the amazing collective action of everyone across the network. Next slide, please, Alfonso. So another way to look at this, this is the positive curve we have seen throughout the fall. You get a sense, just at a glimpse, of where we were back in August and where we are now going into the second semester, with virtually all of our students knowing that they have access to school and the education they deserve. And of course, one of the most important things everyone was thinking about in the spring and thinking about starting school this year was attendance and what that means. The data we see in front of us here is cumulative attendance, so average cumulative attendance at each of our school sites so far this year. And what we can see is we've just seen such a tremendous growth, right? From where we were in the spring, where we know we lost touch with many students and families across the network. And now all of our schools are, at least in the mid 85s in terms of average daily attendance, and many are well into the 90s. And we know that work continues to find, connect with, and engage all of our students. So a collective props to all of you on just an incredible first semester of new and challenging hard work. But staying focused on the goal and helping to realize amazing things for the students in our schools. Okay, we are going to talk about a couple of quick logistical items here, and then we're going to take a stretch break. So one thing is, if you're having any tech challenges today, there are folks in the chat whose name is tech support, and you can do a private chat with any of those folks. You can chat them and get their phone number if it's easier to talk. So we have people who can help. And then of course, if you joined us a little bit late, we have materials for you that are going to be accessible in your ILT classroom. I also want to take a second and welcome all of the people who are joining us via live stream right now. We've had about 50 special guests, partners and funders, and folks who are major supporters of the partnership in all different ways, who are live streaming with us right now. And the wonderful Claudia Sandoval from the partnership team is over on YouTube managing the chat there. And after our stretch break, she's gonna be sharing some links with you for our second portion of the morning, so you can participate along with folks as we move into a bit of our content today. Next slide, please, Alfonso. Okay, so our agenda today looks roughly as follows. It's pretty much what you were emailed. There is one slight change, which is in the afternoon, we're going to ask folks to reconvene together at 3:35 p.m. back in this Zoom. So that's a slight change in the time. So just want to make sure, especially principals and facilitators of afternoon ILT time, know that we're asking folks to be back together at 3:35. And next slide. Okay. We have some hopes for today, right? That we will have folks leaving this experience feeling hopeful and confident about how we can work together to have a successful second semester, and regrounding ourselves in the importance of leading courageously to enact anti-racist systems in our schools. And we also know that high on everyone's mind, especially in this world with evolving policy around us, is having good plans in place to launch second semester and have a successful close of the school year. So I think we have lots of time set up for us to accomplish these things today. And next slide. Okay, we are going to take a very quick stretch break. So Alfonso, I'll ask you to play that video for the next 3 minutes. And I just want to encourage folks, stand up, get a little blood flow in your lower extremities. But we're going to take a 3-minute, very quick stretch break, and then we're going to dive back in to our next session. All right, and we can skip to the next one as well. And our own wonderful Randy Romero is going to kick off the second portion of our morning.
All right, good morning, Partnership family. Welcome to 2021. This next section, we're going to just discuss a little bit, how do we get the results that we just celebrated? I would posit that we get them by having strong communities that collaborate and work collectively to achieve excellence for students. The ILT, all of you who are here, really is that driving force. We're going to spend that next hour, like I mentioned, reflecting on our practices as an ILT and what we might do to continue that work in the second semester. This next section will be led by myself, Randy Romero, Senior Director overseeing our middle schools, Dr. Escobar, who's our Director of Family Engagement, and of course, host extraordinaire, Jeff Garrett. So let's go to the next slide. Again, as I mentioned, here are our objectives. I want you to do me a favor and go ahead and read through these objectives independently. This is a bit of a check for understanding and an engagement technique. And select one of these objective numbers on which, and I want you to select one in which you will be most intent on achieving this hour. Go ahead and put that in the chat, but don't hit return yet. So go ahead and read through them, select one number, put it in the chat, and when I say go, you're gonna hit return. And we have 323 participants. So I'm gonna count and make sure we have 323 messages in the chat. All right, so on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Which objective are you focused in on? Wow, look at that. Our math team would call this a cascading effect, and it's raining objectives here in Zoom land. Thank you all for that. All right, let's go to the next slide. What we're gonna do, again, we're gonna talk about ILTs, and we're gonna show a quick clip of a Formula One pit stop. And I had to do a little bit of research to make sure I knew what a Formula One car is, but apparently it's the highest class of international auto racing for a single-seater racing car, right? So these are the fastest regulated road course racing cars in the world, owing to very high cornering speeds achieved through generation of large amounts of aerodynamic downforce. Tons of stuff you can see on Wikipedia. That's my source. But you'll see that there are a F1 pit crew. And what we're gonna see is one of these pit stops. And these pit crews will go through a process of maintaining the vehicle, checking in on the driver, changing 4 tires, and they'll do that within 1 to 3 seconds. As we know, it's very important to get these cars back out onto the track because spending too long on a pit stop could extend a trip, right? Just like your road trips to Vegas, you pull over too many times on pit stops and it's gonna be a 6-hour drive. So we're gonna see that. And I want you to observe this video with your ILT in mind. What are the things that make this team great? What are the things that make this team able to function at high speed in order to achieve their objective of getting this high capacity vehicle around the course as quickly as possible? So keep that in mind as you watch the video. just like that, it's done. So on the next slide, we have just a few things just to kind of pique your interest. Relating the F1 pit stop to our own ILTs, we would posit that a great team has one common goal, right? That goal really, the team needs to be interdependent, right? If one of the individuals here that was putting the lug nut on the tire misses the mark, the whole operation is compromised. So there's that mutual accountability. But as we start to think about this within our own context of our ILTs and the work we're doing at our school sites, we would also add that there's equity and anti-racist leadership is a key component. Next, Dr. Escobar is going to walk us through a little bit of a individual reflection as we think about how this work applies to our teams.
Thanks, Randy. So we wanted to give you all some time to reflect individually on the video and connecting that to your ILT. So you see in front of you 4 different questions. If you can grab a piece of paper and a pen, open up your notes app, or just open up a blank document so you can jot down some ideas. We're going to give you about 3 minutes to reflect and think and read through these questions individually and just jot down some notes. This reflection is going to set the stage for the conversations to come in the next hour, 50 minutes or so. So really think about them and take some time to take them in. So I'm going to go ahead and start the 3-minute timer. Wherever it is that you are, just start reflecting, and then we will come back to the larger group and move forward. You have about a minute left. Go ahead and wrap up your final thought, your final sentence, your final bullet point. Hold on to these reflections as we move forward with the discussion. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jeff for another reflection.
All right, thank you, Wendalee. And Alfonso, if we could go to the next slide, please. So you've had a chance to do a little bit of thinking about not only yourself, but your team and kind of when your team is at its best. And we hope that that was very generative of some good thinking. We now want to pause for a moment and bring some criteria into the conversation. And the way we're going to do that is using a couple of components, a couple of rows from the PIF, from our Partnership Implementation Framework. And if we go to the next slide, Alfonso. And what we'd like you to do is access the materials for this session in your ILT Google Classroom. So you should see in the stream, and if you need to refresh it, go ahead. But you should see a post at the top of the stream that says morning session, what it means to function well as an ILT. And in there are 2 items linked. One is a PDF that has a couple of components from the PIF that are excerpted. And then the other is a shared note catcher that we will use for your whole team together in just a few minutes. But what we need right now is that excerpt of the PIF, and it's linked again in your ILT classroom. I'm also putting the direct link to it in the chat here for anyone who may be having a challenge accessing your ILT classroom. And we'll go to the next slide, Alfonso. Okay, so what we're going to do here is give you a chance to read these 2 components of the PIF, intentional use of time and data-driven leadership. And I always, when I'm reading the PIF, like to start on the right-hand side at full implementation and read backwards, so read from right to left. So we'll give you a chance to read, and then we want you to just kind of revisit your reflections on the prompts that Wendeley just shared with you. So we're going to take about 5 minutes to read and just revisit your reflections. All right, our 5 minutes is up. I hope that kind of revisiting those reflections with some criteria around some of the components of effective work of an ILT was maybe illuminating for folks. And we're going to go to the next slide, and I'm going to hand it back to Wendalee.
Thank you. So you've done the reflecting, you've had a chance to make your own personal notes, and now we're going to transition into a discussion in your ILTs. So as Jeff mentioned earlier, all of you have a shared note catcher that's linked in your ILT Google Classroom. So you're going to go ahead and look for that when you're in a group. You're going to move into breakout groups in a second with your ILT. Remember to identify somebody as a note taker that will use the note catcher to kind of gather the thoughts and the discussions that happen in the group. Each person will have an opportunity to share their individual reflections and engage in a conversation for about 30 minutes. The goal of this time is really to come to an agreement as a team on the 2 to 3 commitments that will strengthen your ILT's work this afternoon and through the upcoming semester. It's important that you all write them down and make sure that those commitments are not only written somewhere where the ILT has access and will be continuously looking at them, but make sure that each person writes them down as well. A little note about our process. We know that you haven't seen your ILTs in a while, you haven't seen each other in a while, and so the tendency is to jump into how was your break, how were you doing, how were the kids, how's life, but we don't want you to do that during this time. You're going to have a lot of time in the afternoon to catch up, and we apologize for the awkwardness of just jumping into a conversation, but we want to make sure that we give you the opportunity to establish these norms first and then move forward with discussion. If we could go to the next slide or the next couple of slides. So now we're going to move into the breakout discussion prompts. So one of the things to note is that you'll have a partnership facilitator in your breakout group that will be facilitating and supporting the conversation. We want to make sure that you provide all ILT members with an opportunity to discuss the following questions, which were part of the discussion, right? What does your ILT do well? When you're at your best, what are your greatest strengths? And what are those 2 to 3 commitments that you can make to strengthen your work? Again, capture your team's thoughts and commitments in the shared note catcher and make sure that you really identify and write down those commitments. For future reference this afternoon, as well as throughout the semester. So now how to join a breakout group. At the very bottom of your screen, if you've updated your Zoom, at the bottom of the screen, you will get a note in a second to join a breakout group. You're going to find your school and move your cursor all the way to the right over, and it'll the number will turn into join, and you'll click there and you'll be able to join. If you haven't, we have staff on hand to make sure that we put you in the appropriate breakout group so that you don't miss anything. And we have tech support available for this. So Jeff, for the breakout rooms ready?
Yes, one final quick note. We're gonna have the breakout rooms open for 25 minutes. So there will be partnership facilitators in your room to kind of help things. And just want to name that our ILTs are different sizes, right? So some of the bigger teams especially will have a little bit of a unique challenge trying to ensure some equity of voice today. So let's just be mindful of that. And if you didn't update your Zoom, we definitely want to make sure you put your school name on the front of your Zoom screen name so we can more quickly move you where you need to go. But I am opening the rooms now, and you should be able to follow the directions that Wendalee just gave to choose your way into a room.
for the record, this is way harder than you think when your school name is at the bottom because it keeps moving as you try to click the join button.
Thanks. Was that Megan? Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to wait because I can't get it.
Okay.
If you could move some of the high school people or the people at the bottom of the alphabetical list, that would help us a lot because I keep clicking join and almost going to Roosevelt.
Well, mine disappeared.
Yeah, it's
We'll just ask folks to sit tight for a minute, and as people move, it'll get a little easier for us to manage. So thanks for your patience, and we'll get you moved here in just a moment.
Can you repeat one more time what we're supposed to do to join?
Yeah, the directions are actually on the screen, on the slide. If you can see the slide that's shared, it's those 4 steps.
Okay.
Not letting me see the slide anymore. I see.
can't even see.
Okay, now when I click breakout rooms, they all disappeared.
Yeah, same for me.
You know, how do I get your pictures off? Because I can't read the slide.
Hold on just a moment, guys. We're gonna move folks. Appreciate your patience. Just give us a couple minutes here.
Let me split your screen.
Huh.
I think it's that one. No?
No, because I'm trying.
Yeah,
to
it won't let me join. I don't know why. This is
Yeah,
such
give
a
us
tremendous.
a minute. We will get everybody moved.
The new update is covering the slide and showing me the speakers now. I see you, Jeff, Wenderly, and I used to see Romero. I can't see the slide anymore.
Okay.
What we're supposed to do.
Sure. Just sit tight for a moment. We're actively moving people right now, so
Okay.
appreciate your patience. Just give it a minute.
Okay, no problem.
Alfonso, do you need to move?
Yes, I need to go over to Hollenberg.
All right, please head over. Thanks so much for your support there.
Perfect. When we come back, am I going to still be sharing or?
I'm going to give it a shot now because we have our live stream folks I want to share something with. So
sounds good. I'm going to stop sharing.
All right.
Could you send Marcus to 107th and me to Grape, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Well.
And me to Grape?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. So for our live stream guests, I hope people can see my screen. Wendley, can you confirm? Can you actually see my screen now? Okay, wonderful.
Yes, I can.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you to all of our live stream guests. We really appreciate you joining us today, and Happy New Year. And it is wonderful to have such a large contingent of supporters of the partnership and of our work that we can't even fit everyone in one Zoom. Thank you so much. We're going to bring the live stream portion of our morning to a close here in just a second, but did want to offer up a few things. For those of you who maybe are newer to engaging with the partnership or haven't had a chance to check out some of what we've been up to recently, we just want to point you to our website, which is partnershipla.org, and also to our playbook, which is playbook.partnershipla.org. There's just a ton of stuff to read there about what we've been up to, specifically things that pertain to what we've been up to during this period of distance learning as well. And we encourage you to poke around, learn a little bit more, and to ask questions in the YouTube chat. The wonderful Claudia Sandoval from our team is there to help answer questions you may have about the partnership and our work. So once again, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate you, and please have a safe and happy New Year.